30 years in the fashion industry, 30 years of hard work, brilliance, and artistry. Yan si Frederick Peralta. Ngayong gabi atin siyang samahan sa pagdiriwang ng kanyang ika-30 anibersaryo sa industriya. Ako po si Carla Lizardo at ito ang Personage.
Mga karanasan na kapupulutan, mahalagang aral sa tinak na daan, kwento ng tagumpay at mga inspirasyon, hango sa buhay at muling pagbangon, pinalakas, pinatatag ang kalooban, natutong lumipad, natutong lumaban, mga katangi-tanging Pilipino, iba't ibang istorya at pagkatao, alamin kung paano at kung sino-sino, kilalanin bawat isa sa likod ng bawat kwento.
You need to be honest with your craft. You can't do everything. You have to specialize on what is your capacity as a designer.
Mula sa probinsya ng Iloilo si Frederick Peralta. Nakapaghanap buhay noon bilang newspaper boy, fish vendor at houseboy hanggang sa swertehin na maging mananahi sa isang jeans company sa Maynila na nagdala sa kanya sa mundo ng fashion. Paano kayo nag-start sa fashion design?
Back during the 82, okay, I was an apprentice to a designer who happens to be he's a popular designer that time. His name is Greg Centeno. During those times, I learned the craft, I learned the skills, everything that's about managing, working in a shop. Kasi I was also an errand boy to a designer. Now, I get mga fabrics from different sources like Divisoria, Makati, kung saan yung mga supplies you can get. And then afterwards, during those times, ang sabi ko sa sarili ko, if this person can do it, why can't I? Since I have already a sketching, drawing skills. So, na-develop siya na na-develop.
Gusto ko lang malaman, paano ka naging isang apprentice ng fashion designer? Was it always your dream to be a designer when you were a kid?
No, I think I always believe that destiny always happens. No matter what you do, if it's not for you, it's not for you at all. I think I was destined to be one because I just met the guy, the designer, in a gathering. And then, he invited me and he showed me the frame of being a designer. So, kumbaga parang, you have to be focused in any opportunity that you come across in life. Kasi, you'll never know what's in store for you.
Si Frederick ang kauna-unahang Filipino na nagwagi sa Young International Designers Competition sa Paris noong 1994. Napabilang din siya sa high fashion around the world ng isang international fashion magazine. Ano naman yung feeling na nakaka-receive ka ng international awards?
When I represented the country, it gives me so much openness na parang here I am, seriously doing things for the country na. Kumbaga parang I was a flag bearer that time. So, nag-open yun ng door for me, winning as a vehicle for me to serve to my fellow young designers.
Sa pagbabalik ng Personage.
To describe a Frederick Peralta, it's always like a good garment with a good sense of styling.
Maliban sa pagiging fashion designer, nakapagsulat rin si Frederick ng column sa weekly fashion magazine, naging radio at TV host. So where did you acquire your fashion design training?
I had no formal studies about fashion. Everything was self-learning. But then again, yung technicality, I asked the help of a former designer who trained the likes of Mike De La Rosa and a lot of names in fashion. He's a very good illustrator and a teacher. So we trained sa kanya. And then I used that as my foundation as a designer. So I value all the things na pinagdaanan ko that time.
How would you describe your style?
My design when I was young, it's more of like adventurous, very aggressive. You create anything that comes into your mind and then you execute it. I was ahead of time during my younger days as a designer. I was already an avant-garde designer until you age and you learn to be serious with the business side of it, making clothes wearability. Kasi sa akin kasi ang principle ko in designing is that my clothes should have a detail that will give and enhance figure of women. Of course, I love dramas. I love beautiful things. I'm so inspired by movies, people who are well-dressed. Those are the things that, you know, guide me into designing. So, to describe a Frederick Peralta, it's always like a good garment with a good sense of styling. That's what Frederick is. Sexy, theatrical, and let's say, beautiful.
Ano mo naman pinipili yung mga materials for your designs?
Choosing materials are basically subjective to one's design. Before I design, I look at the fabrics and study how it flows. How can you manipulate the fabric into one's form? There are a lot of fabrics kasi that you can use in different designs. So, each design that you create, kailangan mag-ano mo na siya. Step 1 ka. Look at the fabrics, and then study the pattern, and then you mold it. That's how I do it. But the thing is, pagdating sa client, you always have to think something immediately into designing mo na eh. You design something that you envision to a client for an event or whatever parties you may go. The fabric becomes secondary because you have to look for the fabric for the design. But of course, when you design, you have already fabrics in mind. Pero kailangan mo ring hanapin yung colors, yung prints, and then even the baksak of the tela. At the end, after the client's negotiation, that's where you do all the deep, pinaka-hardest part of designing, which is actually executing the real garment.
Sa pagbabalik ng Personage.
As a fashion designer, you have to have a good sense of style. As a fashion designer, you have to have the managerial skills to handle people.
Isa sa may tuturing na yaman ni Frederick Peralta ay ang kanyang anak na si Kevin. Sa edad na 22 ay lubos na ipinagmamalaki ni Kevin ang kanyang ama na nagbigay sa kanya ng magandang buhay na tinatamasa niya ngayon.
Actually, isa lang din naman yung yung life lesson na lagi kong tinatandaan, lagi niya rin sinasabi sa akin simula pa nung bata ako, is to learn how to stand on my own feet. Darating ang oras na mawawala lahat ng nasa paligid namin, pero hanggang sa kaya kong tumayo sa sarili kong paa, hanggang sa lahat ng sinabi niya, lahat ng natutunan ko rin sa pinagdadaanan ko, sa buhay, sa mga napag-aralan ko, lahat yun panghahawakan ko para matutunan ko at saka para makatayo din ako sa sarili kong paa pagdating ng oras. Proud ako maging anak niya. Sa pagtagal niya, believe ako sa father ko, sa lahat. Kasi may mga mas batang designers, may mga mas matatandang designers, pero yung level niya nandun pa rin. Pag sinabi mong Frederick Peralta, iba pa rin kapag narinig ng tao. Pag narinig ng tao yung pangalan na yun, kahit na sabihin mong anak lang ako, sa eskwelahan, sa mga naging trabaho ko, pag sinabi ko na yung pangalan na yun, iba na yung response nila eh. Iba na yung tingin nila. Nagbabago lagi. Kaya minsan, hindi ko nababanggit yung pangalan niya kasi baka ituring na akong iba ng tao. Pero proud na proud ako sa kanya. Bilang father ko siya at saka anak niya ako.
Hangad din ni Frederick na maibahagi sa iba ang kanyang mga natutunan sa loob ng 30 taon sa industriya.
So 2014 is a very special year because we're celebrating your 30th year in the fashion design industry. So how would you say that you've evolved as a designer?
Definitely I evolved because from scratch, from day one until now, the name fashion designer, I always think that, if you're a fashion designer, you have to make a good piece of garment. As a fashion designer, you have to have a good sense of style. As a fashion designer, you have to have the managerial skills to handle people. I mean, workers and clients. You need to have a good communication skill to justify your work and to deliver works also for clients. Everything was like parang designed for me to be a better me. I evolved because I gave a good life to my family, which is my mom, my son. So it's a different setup. If you imagine where I went through, it's like a Cinderella story, but honestly, I always believe that everything was destined to happen. And been receiving awards was like a fulfillment of one's designer's dream. So many awards was given to me, so many recognition. I never thought that, lasting in this business somehow for 30 years gives me so much joy na parang I passed a test, parang like I passed a test in school that I was given an A for being good at my craft. And I am so happy that even my colleagues respected me as a designer.
Sa pagbabalik ng Personage,
the fashion industry is very active. It opens a lot of door to the new generation of designers.
Sa loob ng 30 taon ay hindi na mabilang ang kanyang mga gawa at hindi rin kumukupas ang kanyang husay at galing bilang isang designer, dahilan upang kilalanin siyang one of the icons in Philippine fashion.
If there was one life lesson, the biggest life lesson that you learned from being in the fashion industry, what was it?
You need to be honest with your craft. You can't do everything. You have to specialize on what is your capacity as a designer. And being involved also, not only on your own business, but also sharing it with those designers who want to be one, because everybody has a place under the sun. So, you know, why not share it? And I thank God for giving me the opportunity to serve people with beautiful things.
Ano naman yung masasabi nyo sa local fashion industry today? Is it flourishing?
The fashion industry is very active. It opens a lot of door to the new generation of designers. But they have to learn how to be a designer. It's not just technical, it's more of the wholeness of being one. That's why we're also here to guide them, to share with them whatever has to learn in the fashion industry or even your business. And then we have a lot of creative minds that now there's a lot of schools that they can enhance yung skills nila as a designer. And then there's a lot of shows and platforms that they can showcase their works. Everything was like parang spoon-feeding for them. It's just how serious you are, the industry that you wanted to be. The state of fashion is basically getting higher, even with the influx of imported ones, because the imported ones are like challenge to us to learn and to make good of our craft as a Filipino designers, which actually we've proven already, because a lot of designers already are giving good names to our country, like Michael Cinco, Francis Libiran, Kai Santiago, even Raho, Laurel. Magagaling talaga sila. Even Rene and Pitoy used to be the fashion diplomats of fashion, and until now, Rene is very active in promoting Filipino artistry. I salute my colleagues for being very creative and very brave in producing also good garments and molding new generation of designers to be involved with the fashion.
Tuloy-tuloy rin ang mga exhibit at pagsali ni Frederick sa local and international fashion events. Nito lamang Hunyo ay binigyang pugay ng Canada-Philippine Fashion Week organizer si Frederick Peralta para sa kanyang kontribusyon sa industriya.
30 years of fashion. What's life after that? I'll still continue doing what I love, designing for clients, until the time that, you know, I need to stop. But what my plan is actually to serve my son a good future. That's the only plan that I had. Na, you know, I want to pursue. Of course, there will come a time that, you know, some stories has to end. But I want to leave it like an open book, that maybe in the next 10 years of me or more as a designer, I want to be remembered as a designer that was able to give a good name to the industry and was able to create something that's tastefully done for clients. A garment that, you know, that's a Frederick Peralta. But none other than that, I'd rather be a simple person living a simple life, because I'm not disillusioned by the grandeur of fashion. I want to be who I am And what should I be?
30 taon ng pagsusumikap, 30 taon ng pagmamahal sa trabaho at 30 taon ng pagbabahagi ng sarili upang mapaunlad ang industriyang yumakap sa kanya sa loob ng 30 taon bilang isang fashion designer. Ang tulad ni Frederick Peralta ay patunay sa natatanging yaman ng Philippine fashion industry. Hanggang sa muli, ito ang programang gahatid ng mga kwento ng tagumpay, inspirasyon at pagbangon. Ako po si Carla Lizardo at ito ang Personage.
Hindi hadlang yung kahirapan para mapagtagumpayan mo yung pangarap mo sa buhay na porket mahirap ka, susuko ka na, di ba? So mayroon pang chance. Basta kung ano yung goal mo, talagang mag-focus ka lang, ma-achieve mo siya.